There is something romantic about the concept of returning to one's roots. Cinema loves selling us this utopia. We are either asked to, let's say, remember it or return to it, but we just can't, let's say, ignore it and move on. But I think it's okay to reminisce about it and make your own roots for your own future. Vanakkam and welcome to Cinema Express. This is Avinash Ramachandran, and in this video review episode, we are going to talk about Dhanush's Idli Kadai, which also stars Nithya Menen, Satyaraj, Arun Vijay, Shalini Pandey, Samudrakani, Ilavarasu, Parthiban, Dhanush, and a bunch of other actors. Sivanesan, a terrific Rajkiran, is the owner of the titular eatery, which serves piping hot idlis day in and day out in his hometown for years together. He hopes his son Murugan, Dhanush, will follow in his legacy, but Murugan has other plans for his Idli Kadai. But these two aspirations don't align and they go their separate ways. Sivanesan stays back in his hometown, and Murugan reaches the shores of Bangkok and becomes a top level manager in a global food business owned by Vishnuvardhan, played by Satyaraj. So he has a hot headed son, Ashwin, played by Arun Vijay, and seemingly shallow daughter, Meera, played by Shalini Pandey. Murugan's romance with Meera is shallow, but it is also, it doesn't allow him to be his own true self, but he doesn't stop being in the relationship and makes you wonder if he is there because he wants to continue living a life that is materialistic. Is it the same reason why Ashwin, spoiled brat, continues being very, very mean to Murugan and he doesn't do anything? But when his world comes crashing down after a particularly harrowing personal loss, we understand where his sudden change of heart comes from. It doesn't sit right when Murugan tries to oversell this rural dream without talking about the various nuances in that reality. See, the air is definitely less polluted, the water might be cleaner, but life doesn't revolve just around the accessibility to these natural resources, right? It talks about how people who leave their home for whatever reasons in the hope of a better future aren't necessarily trading their lives for the better. However, it is too vast a topic to be dealt with, let's say, kids' gloves. It paints the village as if it's this model village where there are no caste hierarchies, no religious discrimination, no class differences whatsoever. And that feels uneasily convenient and is a blemish on the kind of story that Dhanush wants to tell with Idli Kadai. See, if returning to one's roots is important, then it's also important to talk about the conditions conducive for the said return. Because, see, the film misses out on such nuanced conversation, hides behind this overarching concept of empathy, oneness. See, these are all just nice and nothing else. But to offset all these questions, Dhanush fills Idli Kadai with so many different characters, each with definitive arcs and performers who just need a scene or two to establish their presence in the film. Parthiban is wonderful as the cop, whose intentions are always grey, and it's a refreshing change of space for the actor. Nithya Menon, who's given a rather thankless role as Kyle, manages to salvage it only because she is a tremendous actor. Arun Vijay, who's given a rather one note role as Ashwin, seems like he's straight out of the Chekkachevandavanam universe. In contrast, Ilavarasa gets an author backed role and he makes the best use of it. Even a veteran like Satyaraj doesn't get to do a lot, and he joins the likes of Arun Vijay and Nithya Menon as actors who serve the film more than what the writing does for them. The film is also quite funny when it has fun at the expense of the naivety of the super rich. We also have Samudrakani having fun as the parota shop owner who has an eye on Murugan's Idli Kada and his Kyle. He delivers a couple of supremely funny killer dialogues without trying too hard, and that is why it becomes even more infuriating when his tiff with Murugan gets resolved in an unintentionally funny sequence. I still have no clue why certain things happened there. It's funny, it's not funny, I don't know what they were trying to go for that. The film, which talks about Murugan's aspirations, Sivanesan's dreams, Vishnuvardhan's hatred, Meera's confusion, Ashwin's vendetta, and Kyle's love, allows all of these portions to stew for a bit too long. The magic of cooking lies in knowing the right mix of ingredients and the right proportions, and Idli Kada falters on that point completely. Dhanush, the writer and filmmaker, takes the easy way out in most of the scenes, especially with the ones that are reminiscent of his own filmography, with films like VIP and Tangamagan. And it's important that someone lets Dhanush, the actor, know that he doesn't have to always underplay this character so much. The film, which espouses the power of returning to roots, also hard sells the agenda of Gandhian nonviolence. See, while it's a noble thought, it feels forced into the film simply because these portions are too stretched out. But there is something about Dhanush being vulnerable and good natured that he's effective in a role that might seem like a cakewalk only because he makes it look that easy. In contrast, the entire sequences involving Rajkiran and Dhanush are a breeze. The way Dhanush, the actor, filmmaker, and writer, mixes in folklore, divinity, and magical realism into the narrative is such a treat to watch. There is also a scene where he looks at a couple of photo frames, and the next scene is the frame from the POV of the people inside the photo. It was such a wonderful idea. The same holds good with the usage of the concept of a guardian Garudan taking care of his family through the ages. See, a lot of these flourishes go missing when the film spends too much time on the concept of ahimsa and the Ashwin Murugan Tiff, the entire rich people family. But this also leads to the warm chemistry between Murugan and Kyle remaining unexplored, and it feels shoehorned into the film just for the sake of it. On the contrary, the film does quite a commendable exploration of the idea of fatherhood and idea of parenting and has deep impact on the children. The characters essayed by Rajkiran Dhanush and Satyaraj Arun Vijay. See, these are two interesting shades of parenting. They're not in the opposite ends of the spectrum. It's very obvious that the film is going to take sides, but it doesn't mean that one is perfect and the other isn't. Both are flawed, both have its reasons, both have its downfalls, everything happens. See, while the songs in Idli Kadai stayed true to its territory and complemented the look and feel of the film, which feels straight out of 80s Tamil cinema, G.V. Prakash Kumar's background score was coercive to a fault. See, but one can't fault a film like Idli Kadai too much simply because it is one of those films that has its heart in the right place, and it needed much less focus on the side tracks. In a scene that plays out just before the interval block, we see an important resolution that puts a sparkle in our eyes. That can only happen when we are in a place of comfort. And if you are moved enough, that sparkle can also convert into a stream of tears. But soon after that particular scene, we are pulled back into the film in a completely different track. There is a fight sequence, there is an entire a conversation about what is right, what is wrong, what is violence, what is non-violence. We are in it for a very comfortable meal. We want to have those fluffy hot idlis. We want to have it dipped in a favorite side dish. You want to have just one sambar or one chutney or one mutton korambu or one fish korambu or whatever is your favorite side dish that goes with your piping hot plate of idlis. But the point is, you can only have one of those things or probably two of those things. Where Idli Kadai falters is that it presents you a nice green banana leaf. You sprinkle water on it, you keep it ready, you clean it, you have nicely looking white, plumpy, fluffy idlis on that plate, and suddenly you find everything there. You find a mutton, you find a fish, you find chutney, you find sambar, probably more watery. I'm not a big fan of the watery sambar they showed in the film. But yeah, let's say there is takali tokku. There's a lot of other things that there are so many things on your leaf right now that you tend to forget that what is the hero of the dish is that simple, warm, and probably straightforward idli that we all wanted to have. And that's it from this video review episode. If you like it, please like, share, and subscribe to Cinema Express, and do let us know what you thought of the film and this video review. And until we meet in the next episode, this is your friendly neighborhood critic, Avinash Ramachandran, signing off. Tata.